What is a question? That's what we're going to get to the bottom of at this juncture here in Guaranteed Audio episode 7. We're going to go into the Q&A segment in which we pull questions exclusively from our patrons every episode. And you can put your questions in too if you back us for literally anything.
Oh, yeah.
We'll take your questions.
Yeah.
So I got a bunch here, gentlemen. This comes from Jen Scholar. Jen asks,
Thank you, Jen.
what animated film or TV show would you guys like to see get the live action treatment, if any? And who would you cast? Ryan.
You know, this has already happened, which was I watched season 1 of Attack on Titan on Netflix. I was engaged. I was intrigued. I thought it was cool. There is a live action production that's been out for over a year now, but I just haven't seen it yet. And I will. I thought to myself, of all the things that could be legitimately uncomfortable, really creepy, this anime would hit the nail on the head. So yeah, I'm going to go with, when it comes to an animated production, Attack on Titan, and perhaps next time's Media Current, I can follow up with that.
Neil? Please don't steal mine.
Oh, you're going to pick Reboot?
No. Just be Computer Fighters.
I don't think I've ever seen an episode of Reboot, but it would really defeat the purpose of Reboot to turn it live action. It's just The Matrix. Cartoon I actually enjoy that I would like to see live. I don't think there's anything I would really want that to happen to, but if they're ever going to do a live action Simpsons, I'm going to be morbidly curious.
Did either of you see the Beauty and the Beast live action adaptation?
No.
I didn't.
I've seen pieces of it. It's not fun. I don't like the character designs. I don't like the way they redid the songs. Their accents are all over the place.
Yeah.
It's not either go big or go home. They're either in France. Their opening song is entitled Bonjour.
Oh, it's in French. I'm not. I want to be excited for the Little Mermaid adaptation, but I just can't. I have to see something. I just hope they don't change too much. For me, I think it'd be cool to see a live action adaptation of Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold wasn't afforded a lot by being animated, so maybe by virtue of making it live action, it would take something special away from it. But I think it'd be kind of cool these days for children to have a show where their protagonists aren't super famous or magical or, for lack of a better word, spoiled in some capacity, because that seems to be
Arnold had a cool room, but
his parents were dead. And he also, he had to like scrimp and save to get money.
He lived in a boarding house. Yeah.
Arnold's cool room was clearly engineered by Arnold because it wasn't Grandpa.
Yeah.
Guarantee
Never
that.
Raspberries.
Guarantee that.
So I think Hey Arnold would be a cool way to play against the modern trope. A lot of modern kids' live action TV shows are about celebrities or fake stuff.
I mean, Nickelodeon had a huge part in kind of creating
of course.
that,
Oh, yeah. Next question. Joe Shuttle asks, Neil, Monster Breeder is a great new game. For those who don't know, Neil made a video game called Monster Breeder.
Thank you. Arguably a video game.
You
play it in your browser. It's a browser game, but it's pretty fun.
Joe asks, think you guys can make it into a short film? Or is the video game to movie genre still a toxic area to tread?
Ooh,
I would love to make a fan film for some video game, like maybe like Lester the Unlikely or something that we'd enjoy doing sometime.
Beat James Rolfe to it.
Yes, exactly.
James Rolfe rips up his script like you guys beat.
Didn't even call me. Maybe, I don't know. I think the fun of Monster Breeder is it's all in your imagination. It's a totally text-based game. It would be really hard to even add illustrations to it, let alone make monsters. I don't even know how we would make one monster special effect in a video.
I'm picturing some Jeff Goldblum with the fly machine. It's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's just an abomination. It doesn't work.
But maybe someday we'll do like a Pokemon-themed video or something.
I think if we were to do a video based on Monster Breeder, I would want to make a 30-second ad in the style of a lo-fi 80s video game commercial. Not like a 90s cereal commercial, which is what we sort of did with Daxter Flaxter and Boston Underground, but a little more like VHS banding and like
in the style
Nintendo Entertainment System.
Oh yeah, like that old like Mario video where
exactly. Yeah. I think that'd be
Mario,
a great.
where are you?
Joe also asks, Ryan, you've made a bunch of creepy videos. Do you have any plans to utilize Guaranteed Video to make some creepy shorts of yours into a reality? Would you ever want? So Ryan does a bunch of creepypastas. He's written some awesome original spooky stories. Would you ever want to take any of them and make them into, I don't know, traditional narratives? Because usually you have a video component.
His name is Joe, correct?
Joe Shuttle.
Joe, I hope you're listening to us right now, and I hope you're also watching. Neil, would you please?
Do some magic.
Kevin and Neil have not seen this yet,
no.
but I brought this little guy over.
Oh, wow.
In our group message, Facebook Messenger, which we could just use Google or text, or there are a great many ways beyond Facebook.
Has this been here the whole time?
Yes.
Yes.
Go on.
This feels like a Mr. Rogers segment. Like, oh, what did you bring, Ryan?
The guys have not seen this one yet. Actually, Neil, would you please?
Sure.
Put my fighting arm up.
I'm talking on Ryan's audio channel now. Hi, Kevin.
There we go. All right, so for those of you listening at home, I hope you also get the chance to see the video, or you won't know what we're talking about. There is a wonderful horror trope, Joe, at home, that, like in Say Cheese or Die, the Goosebumps literature, or in the episode of The Twilight Zone, about the camera that also grants wishes, but something bad happens.
Or in Are You
Keep
Afraid of
going.
the Dark, when they had the camera that killed. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, this camera doesn't necessarily kill things, but it's necessarily. But this camera reveals not the upside down. I'm not going to use that term. This reveals the shadow realm, the supernatural realm. The camera that can see supernatural things, because the camera is haunted. Ladies and gentlemen, with a green velvet interior, feast your eyes on, I believe, 1967. Heavier than she looks. I've got some of the original lenses to them. I have the original manual.
Oh my God, this
I
smells
actually,
awesome.
I have the what do you call
Can I
it?
smell it?
The light meter. And if you look I would have bought this guy for the interior alone. I've even got the little oil it originally came with to
Yeah.
clean the guy.
Wow, this is cool.
And
Oh, I wish
I
you could see
spotted
this.
this.
Listen.
Hold it
Not
up,
that-
aim it at
Yeah.
that camera.
So yeah, it's just that man, it's so heavy.
It
But
is
looks
heavy.
Looks like a World War I night vision goggles, if such
It
a thing
smells
could exist.
like old shoes, but not shoes that have been worn. Just
yeah,
like old
yeah,
leather.
just old shoes, and it's
here's
got
our
like
catalog to buy other additional products go along with it.
cool.
And yeah, I actually haven't even opened our manual
We should
yet.
just make a New Kids in the
I'm gonna-
Rock episode where
I'm
we
gonna
get a
record
haunted
this audio because this
camera.
sounds cool.
And
There's
hang
like
on
a giant
second.
wind.
We just make a
up
movie
key on
today.
the
We have
back.
all the equipment.
Where the hell did I
Anyway,
put
this
it?
is this for a video or just something that
That is my plan. I have. Oh, there we go. And for our patrons at home, you can quote me on this. Should we use this for the script that I'm working on right now? One of the Patron bonuses will be some Kodachrome 2 footage in 8mm that we can actually, while shooting with you guys, convert this to digital and show you what this camera really looks
Oh
like.
man,
As
that'd be awesome.
the man on Main Street in Plymouth, Massachusetts, guaranteed me that this camera actually works.
This is the guy who sold me that monkey's paw. Like, where is that store still there? The guy you bought it off of?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
cool. So yeah, this is a video or not video, but this is a film like motion camera.
Yes, it is.
Man, cool. Show
So,
and tell.
Joe,
Oh, Bell and Howell Company. Great.
that I hope answers your question.
Joe's got one more. He says, Kevin, not for resale, a video game store documentary, which is a feature film documentary I'm working on. Sounds like it's getting close to completion. How does it feel to be in that final stretch? It's stressful because I've been filming this with Tom Chalafor for about a year and longer than a year and a half, and sticking it all together, trying to figure out a 100-minute narrative. Coming from the world of corporate video production, I was just thinking in terms of these parallel interviews that would complement each other and all these themes. But now that I'm piecing it together, I'm thinking I probably need to stick with one voice for longer periods of time. So this is kind of boring, not technical, but boring storytelling minutia. But I'm confident that I'm gonna have a rough cut in about a month and a half.
Oh,
Which
cool.
is
I didn't know that.
Which is exciting. April 15th is kind of when I'm trying to have which I guess is 2 months away.
The Ides of April.
The Ides of April. It's exciting. I only have a little bit left to shoot. I'm actually meeting with Greg Miller from Kind of Funny at PAX East. He's a great guy. We've met before. We have a lot of similar interests. We both think that Tim Daly's the best Superman. Meeting with him.
Geez, it is almost PAX East, isn't it?
Yeah, first week of April. Yeah. So it's exciting. Hardest thing about putting together your first feature film, and I've started to have these night terrors the last few weeks as I start thinking about all these feature films I love that are from freshman efforts. Like Get Out is the first feature film Jordan Peele made, But the thing is, he got to work in the industry for decades, making 20-minute, 30-minute things. For me, a documentary film where I just shot like 70% of the movie, not knowing specifically where certain components were going to go, then starting to edit it, and then figuring out the connective tissue I had to film. That was my strategy the whole time. It's hard.
Oh, yeah.
I've put together a few scenes, and it's coming together. It's making me really want to do a traditional narrative feature film that I can know exactly what I have to capture going in. Because I don't I wanted to try a documentary that wasn't just an information delivery mechanism that a lot of documentaries are, where people just state facts and recount. It's easier to make a documentary when you're recounting one event or one story and you have 4 people telling that story for 80 minutes, which is what a lot of documentaries are. So that's how it's going. Next question from Pika Bread. Neil, do you have any plans for another Lemon Demon concert in the near future? And if so, where?
I don't know. It's something I think about every once in a while, putting something together, but I don't have plans specifically, so I can't answer that satisfactorily. No, I did enjoy playing. I just haven't done it in a long time, and I'm probably really rusty. But if it makes you feel better, I am working on a new album, which is what I'm always doing.
Mark Hughes asks, do you think there's any hope for the Terminator franchise, or should it be put to rest? Now, full disclosure, I'm not a big fan of bringing back almost any movie franchise. Like every now and then, not every movie's Rocky Balboa or Creed. Most of them are, what are some counterexamples to that? Like Indiana Jones 4, a lot of people hated that. A lot of people don't like the prequel trilogy to Star Wars. They've kind of come out the other side, though, and given enough people what they want. Right?
Yeah, actually, I kind of feel like Rocky's success is because it's an action film, but it's a drama. It kind of feels like, these characters do continue existing outside of the story.
Yeah, and
you're told.
Yeah, and like the underdog stuff with Rocky played well into Rocky 6, But but basically.
But with action movies, it's kind of more of a diminishing returns.
So for you, Terminator, don't bring it back.
If James Cameron ends up actually doing, and was he going to direct or just produce?
The word is that he's producing the next one and that Linda Hamilton will star in it.
Maybe I'll check it out. But again, I haven't seen all of them. I half watched the most recent one.
As cool as that sounds,
Jennifer,
I have watched them all. They get worse. There's now substantially more bad ones than good ones.
Even 3 now feels like
it's pretty unnecessary.
A solid base hit. Like, that was entertaining, but come on, man. The first 2 are perfect.
I was gonna say, in order for this franchise to survive, to live, they need to stop being either an Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle or some tongue-in-cheek joke or reference to Arnold Schwarzenegger. They need to get back. They need to be the concept of the Terminator, not just a vehicle. And that's so much easier to say than do, because he is the biggest name with this franchise.
I think the only way the Terminator movies could be good again is if they were more dreadful, like the first 2, and slower. Because
yeah.
And the thing is, that just goes against everything modern movie manufacturing has become. Can't make.
They kind of tried
to be $50 million. It couldn't be a $150 million movie again.
That third Riddick movie tried to do that.
Yeah,
and it was better than Chronicles of Riddick, because it tried to go back to like just a simple action movie,
like Pitch Black.
Yeah, like
Pitch
Black's
Black's great. Yeah.
If they could do that with a Terminator movie, that would be cool.
But will they?
I don't know.
They seem to be convinced Terminator has to be like this, like Iron Man level affair every time now. It has to be these big. Ryan and I were both super excited for Terminator 4.
Yeah,
I remember the trailer getting me super excited.
Which was not Terminator Genesis; it was Terminator Salvation. That's
had
right.
a lot going for it. And
the trailers looked cool.
There was a lot of talk about everyone on set had to read Cormac McCarthy's The Road, which is like one of our favorite books. And then you see the final movie, and it's just nonstop action scenes and just really weak script. The ending got leaked, so they reshot the ending.
That's the one McGee directed?
Yeah, and his heart was
should
in the right
not have
place.
been fooled.
I didn't see any of his other movies before. He almost made Superman.
The stakes don't matter.
Yeah.
They introduce the actor who I still don't remember, even though I'm the one who keeps bringing up Ted Kaczynski in the Unabomber after that Netflix series he starred in. He's a star of Avatar. He's a star of Terminator.
We've done this on this podcast before. I think
Multiple.
we can't remember that guy's name.
He made a deal with the devil that he gets to be in these huge franchises, and it just didn't. And I don't know his name.
So
Maybe that's the price of his deal with the devil.
there you go.
No one
Terminator-
will know your name.
So Terminator, are we saying it sounds like we kind of want another Terminator, but for them to get it right,
Yeah,
right? I
assume they
I
won't.
guess, but they
assume
got
they
it right
won't.
already. It would just be the same movie if they got
I
it
think
right.
they could make a Terminator war movie, and you just have to not give a damn about continuity and universe building. Just say it's the future war. Things are bad. That's a great setting for a movie.
Something with no time travel?
Yeah, and just make it the future war scenes in those first two movies. There's just like a level of desperation that it's so easy to connect to and romanticize and want to be involved and you want to help, you want to participate. That's what I would want to see.
It has that weird. What is the French expression for I just don't have the words? Je ne sais quoi, I believe is yes.
Such in French, I don't know what.
I don't.
It's ironic, like, if you don't have the words for that. All right, go on.
That's a joke that the live action Gaston makes in the live action. Yeah, spoiler for that movie that we didn't watch. It would those scenes in Terminator 1 and some in 2 have. It's like when you have just a little bit of claymation in a Ray Harryhausen movie. Your eyes are so drawn to, if the whole movie was claymation, it may be amazing and spectacle, but it really doesn't have that special quality to it that like catches your eye to go ooh. And I thought to
There's
myself,
some real magic in that second movie's opening scene.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So that's it, I guess. Like, I think we've all just succumbed to the fact they're probably going to try again. For years, there were tons of movies like, no, I don't want another Ghostbusters. It's over. Don't do it. And they did, and it was awful.
They're going to try again because people like us are able to talk at length about this hypothetical movie.
It's free marketing.
It's free marketing.
damn it.
but,
Yeah, you're right.
We did it. We just caused it.
Oops.
All right, next question. Bulldozer asks.
Thank you, Bulldozer.
Well, that was Mark Hughes. This is Bulldozer who asks, you get to revive a famous dead person so you can spend one day with them and talk with them, ask questions and have a fun time, do whatever you want. Who do you pick and why?
Paul McCartney. No, he's not.
I was going to pick Paul Newman. I think Paul Newman would be a great conversation.
Good choice, yeah.
And he was just the first person I thought of. Maybe it's because I have relatives that look a lot like Paul Newman, and I just feel this affinity towards him. There's probably better examples, like old people who've influenced world politics. I don't know. I'm trying to buy you guys time. Have you thought of anyone better than Paul Newman?
I was thinking of Phil Hartman just because I miss him.
Oh,
But I feel like he might, like, if he like didn't know he died, he might like come off as kind of an asshole or something. Like, yeah, what are you bothering me for?
I was in Blasto.
I just imagine for that, you get a day, like literally 24 hours, but most of the time is him hairless from the goo machine, just like gasping for breath, trying to get his eyes to work.
That machine from Casper, but he comes out looking
he's going to take more than 24 hours to finish up, so you're not really doing him favors.
So I should pick someone who doesn't deserve.
I really wish the Casper movie was more of a major blockbuster because I would love. Remember in the Casper movie from
Oh yeah, the
1996?
Lazarus machine.
There's a machine that can bring you back to life. It would be great to make a parody of that, where when you come out, you're like Goldblum in The Fly. Like it's just this horrible.
Yeah.
But you're alive again. At what cost?
Oh yeah, like the half-finished pods from
second
Invasion of the
one.
Body Snatcher.
Yeah.
Ryan, who's your choice?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's Jesus.
Oh, just to like clarify.
yeah.
So you just like, you can go around telling people like, oh, yeah, actually, I hung out with Jesus for a little while and he never said that.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said for. So it's 24 hours, right? So after 24 hours, he's gone again.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have something interesting to say about that.
Bella asks, so do you guys consider yourselves smart?
No.
As in, let's say there's a situation you have to describe the many traits about you as possible without any modesty. Would you use the word smart?
I think smart's a loaded word.
Sure.
I think, I don't like to frame people in terms of intelligence generally.
Yeah.
But I do think in certain limited ways, I do know a lot of things, but And I think that's true of all of us. But
But it's
it's
been by your own volition, though.
it's by yeah. It's,
You once joked to me, like, I can do this, but I can't multiply or drive a car.
yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Ren?
For those of you listening and watching at home, I'd like you to consider anyone you've ever met who describes themselves as smart, and then consider if they are. Because they're not. They're not. Elon Musk doesn't walk around going, I am so smart.
I think he does,
Homer's.
actually.
No, I don't think he does.
When
I think he has a pretty high opinion of himself.
Oh, yeah.
Irrefutably. And
He's
this, by
smart
the way,
enough
is
not to say
after-
I am smart, though.
This is after he put his own car and his own spaceship to outer space.
Didn't our government like co-fund that whole thing?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Who needs NASA when we got a celebrity who can do?
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, I don't know.
I feel like we all probably say like, I'm smart, I can do this. Like when we're trying to do something.
If you want to quantify it, like, I'm a product of a first world
What's my
country with
excuse?
great education and unlimited knowledge at my fingertips at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's stopping
That's
me?
great.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
With this, I'm smart.
With this computer memory. Next question. Let's go. Ben Parchel. If you could use the Deepfakes face substitution process to put your face in any movie, what would it be? What character would you replace? And what movie character would you least want to have your face on? So if you don't know what Deepfakes is, it's basically this software that got put out recently that allows you to train the software to understand what a face looks like. You need as many samples as possible, hundreds if not thousands of photos of a face. So it learns a pattern, it learns a system for what your face looks like.
Happy, sad, light,
Everything.
good light, dark lights,
And then-
all kinds of stuff.
And then it can track your face onto another person's face, and it's surprisingly good at what it does. It looks better than the Rogue One face stuff. People are claiming. I don't think that's true. People just, it's sensational.
I've only seen one example video of
the Nick Cage one.
Yeah,
the
the
Nick Cage
Nicolas
one's
Cage.
one of the better ones.
Yeah.
But it is 2018, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah,
It's
a lot
only
of
gonna get
websites have
better.
banned it. A lot of websites have banned it because it throws any accountability out the window.
By the way, I think you're the first person to say it's 2018. It's only going to get better.
So for me, I thought about this one.
Okay.
And this is a spoiler for a movie called Darkman, which is about a superhero played by Liam Neeson who can change his face to look like other people. It's underrated. It's an awesome movie. It's been ripped off a lot. I would change Bruce Campbell's face from the end of the movie with mine.
His final disguise.
The last disguise of Darkman, when he's kind of put on the mask and then he does a take to the camera. If that could be my face.
You could do that. That's such a short shot.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Well, all right. You have a better answer.
I mean, you got to do someone who's in the movie the whole time, you know?
Okay.
I think it would be fun to do like an Arnold Schwarzenegger, someone who has a really different physique with my...
Yeah.
I don't know. My first thought was stop making sense. Just put me...
It's going to start happening.
It's going to start happening.
No, like people are going to start doing this with internet celebrities. It's going to be like an iPhone app soon. Like
It's going to literally
too
be
much
an app.
money.
Yeah.
There's too much
Yeah.
money on the table. What about you, Ryan?
I'm thinking, I had never thought about this before.
What movie would you like to see yourself in? Have you guys heard about the movie The Congress? Ryan, you'd love this movie.
No, I don't
Stars
know.
Robin Wright. They showed it at the Boston Underground Film Festival a couple years ago, and it's about Robin Wright plays herself, and her agent calls her up and says, "Listen, Hollywood is calling. You haven't been in it. This is before House of Cards. Like you haven't been in a big movie or anything in a long time. Yeah, you were in Forrest Gump and you're in The Princess Bride, but you haven't really had a hit in like 10 years. So this company wants to pay you, it was like some absurd amount of money, like $500 million, some crazy amount to participate in this experiment where they're going to take thousands of photos of your face and a voice sample, and you have to do all these emotions, but they're basically going to buy Robin Wright as a property, and then they can put you in any movie, and this computer simulation will be so accurate that you don't get paid royalties or anything. They can make you do whatever they want in these movies. This movie came out like 5 years ago, I think 6 years ago.
So just before season 1 House of Cards?
A little before.
Okay.
Great idea for a movie. John Hamm's in it. But the movie, the first act is all about this idea and the ethical implications of just selling yourself. But she's the first actor to do it. That's like the setup of the story.
Like she's like a Maud Flanders. They figured out the algorithm, the ratio between, like everyone recognizes you, but it's not so
Exactly.
ubiquitous
But
an
you're
experience.
not going to be that expensive.
We don't want to be Marlon Brando.
At the time, definitely.
We don't.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do it
Superman
with. They wouldn't do it with like Robert Downey Jr. or something. It'd be way too expensive. And he's like, I have so many.
They're
other movies I
already
could
doing
do.
it with Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, they already are.
no.
Yeah, he doesn't even show up to be in the Avengers movies anymore. It's ridiculous. So But that's kind of what Deepfakes reminds me of, is this movie, The Congress. Not a perfect movie. You'd really like it. I think you should
It
watch
sounds
it.
fright, as we discussed the other day about the implications for this kind of technology are really frightening.
Politically, in particular.
Yes. I was going
I'm trying
say,
to think of a movie that we could put all of us in.
Three Amigos. I remember you
so I was just about to say The Three Amigos. Isn't it weird that three such funny comedians, that movie does not look funny?
Could you track?
I've noticed
Could you
it.
track cartoon faces? Could we like go to the Chipmunk Adventure movie from the '80s and put our faces?
Yeah.
Ugh. We just Zemeckis the shit out of that, just make it a nightmare.
I want to be Dave Seville.
All right, so one of the chipmunks is just a regular chipmunk.
Yeah, we'll leave.
And I'm Simon, and you're like Alvin or something, and Theodore's just Theodore.
All right, we got so.
By the way, Dave is great in that movie.
I love Dave. He's got a
He's
big
so
house.
tired.
This is a big one. Melody Doll asks us, I feel like 80s nostalgia has reached peak saturation in the market. Is the world ready for 90s nostalgia to take over? My take on this is 80s and 90s nostalgia have been leapfrogging each other and taking turns for the last 20 years at this point.
Yeah, it's weird.
I truly believe that during like right around the year 2000 to the year 2005 is sort of the last period where pop culture had any real concrete identity, because that was right around when everything entertainment wise got
Homogenized, among other words.
democratized too.
That's
like
better.
just like suddenly, like if you wanted to listen to like alternative rock music, it's not going to be in the radio. We talked about this last episode because you just go on Bandcamp or iTunes or whatever and find it now. It's not going to come to you through the radio. Like the pop culture zeitgeist is no longer determined by one broadcast.
And things like
spectrum.
Pandora, which a very simple algorithm for figuring out your tastes.
Yeah.
To go, oh no, you're tricking yourself into thinking it's the radio. You've curtailed this within the
Yeah.
first few weeks of using the system. Like it just gives you what you want.
But the 80s and 90s are very identifiable. They're very quantifiable.
Yeah.
Like what is an 80s thing? What is a 90s thing?
I mean, The Wedding Singer came out in 1998.
Yeah.
You know?
So I think
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think 80s and 90s are they're just the things. It's going to be lol 80s, but it's because the 50s aren't that fun. The 60s aren't that.
Well, they were for a while. I mean, yeah.
But
They
let's,
were for some
the
people,
80s and 90s are where this is so cynical. Is where like blockbuster movies and toy manufacturing and everything really blew up post Star
Oh,
Wars.
yeah.
And those are just going to be the properties we're stuck with forever. So everything is going to be shades or reflections of that in terms of your $100 to $300 million movie budgets and such. Like it's just going to be recycling everything that happened in the 80s and 90s. Why go back further? If something was successful in the 30s and it lasted to the 80s, you're probably still hearing about it, like Batman or Superman or something.
Yeah,
like
I'm trying to think, like, has there been anything that kind of has done the 2000s in a comical or exaggerated way or been able to...
There's an episode of Workaholics.
Yes.
I don't know. Like Better Call Saul takes place in the like mid 2000s,
But it doesn't really-
but it does not play it up too much. There's like skaters and stuff.
But
Every
there
now and
still
then
are
someone's
skaters.
cell
Yeah, that's
phone
the
looks
thing.
silly, but I mean, they still just call each other. It's not like they make a joke about their pager. Yeah, we're describing a pre-internet world. That's the difference. That's the difference between like
Yeah,
the late
because I'm
90s
trying to
and
think,
early
like,
2000s.
it's been a decade since 2008, but I don't have a clear image. Like, there's no caricature of what people dressed like in 2008 yet.
And that's what the Workaholics episode is a really good joke
It's
about. Like,
that's the kind of.
can you remember how silly we dressed in 2004? Like
And it
the
cuts back
same.
in time 4 years. And yeah.
Yeah.
And Kevin and I were talking just last week about how watching old VHS footage of the O.J. Simpson trial, of the people, the protesters outside selling T-shirts, selling hats, the footage of the trial itself, because we were talking about O.J. again, and how you both received O.J. Simpson themed Christmas gifts this year. That
Thank you.
when I think about when I think about someone a 1993, 1994 outfit, it is different. The big oversized white T-shirts, and also specifically how people would have dressed right outside of the kind of suits Johnny Cochran would wear, the kind of pantsuits Marcia Clark would wear. This is really specific, to the O.J. Simpson trial, but quite frankly, a lot of what they wear and how they would, the choice of words they would use is just not that different. And we're talking a long time ago now. Long enough for to be a talking point.
Yeah.
Is 80s nostalgia going to fade away? I feel like we've had this exact conversation since 2005, like once every couple of months. We're like,
Yeah.
here's another 80, like maybe like Stranger Things.
It's on a fast cycle. I think it's always been cyclical. Like Mad Men was huge. and that's such 60s
Yeah.
nostalgia.
10 years ago.
Yeah, and that was decades after, I think, that's decades after Laverne and Shirley, So these things do come back in waves, depending on where those people are in their life.
Don't you find it interesting that 60s nostalgia of the 2000s is, hey, remember when men could like smoke and drink and be misogynist? And they really do romanticize those very negative aspects.
People get the wrong idea when they think that, Don Draper's like their idol. Like, no, that's not the message of this show.
60s nostalgia of the 90s, the live action Brady Bunch film, and Austin Powers is saying these people were fucking jokes. These people are ridiculous. They're cartoons.
I think with 80s and 90s stuff, like, is it going to go away? I think I don't think that the public has this kind of influence or declaratory moment where they can say, we're done with the 80s. Hollywood and the music industry and video games and such are just going to keep trying to give you like, okay, here's another 80s thing. Here's another 80s thing. Here's another 80s thing. And it's going to happen. Like every couple of months, something's going to come out. Some things are going to do well. Some things aren't going to do well. And until a lot of this stuff loses money, that's specifically aping from 80s or 90s culture, it's not going to stop. And even when it does stop, it'll only be for a few years. When something really blows up, like Stranger Things, you will then see things that aren't necessarily copycats, but influenced by that success. Like it was in development before Stranger Things, but it finally got made into a movie again because of the success, in my opinion.
It's set in the 80s.
Yeah. And it's better than Stranger Things, in my opinion.
It is better than Stranger Things. What have been the big 90s things, though?
The new Jumanji movie.
Yeah.
That takes place in the 90s?
No, but the Jumanji's a 90s property.
And the video game
what have been the big 90s period pieces that make fun of the 90s and exaggerate the 90s?
I mean,
what's her name? Not Ariana Grande, but the Iggy Azalea video for Clueless.
Yeah, Katy Perry's TGIF video was a 90s love letter, and that's like a billion hits, literally a billion hits. Like Hanson's in the video and stuff like that, Kenny G. Whenever people bring up like Seinfeld and stuff like that, it's like a 90s pastiche show.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like literally like most like Vaporware is all 90s stuff, right?
Yeah, Vaporwave. Yeah.
Vaporwave, I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, so it's definitely there.
I'm just trying to think like, has it gotten into movies and TV yet? Because like we still got like 80s TV, like the Goldbergs and stuff.
And maybe that's what Melody Doll's getting after here, is 90s going to take over. I think on the internet, 90s stuff was always big, and maybe they just couldn't bottle it for television or film. Maybe we're forgetting about a big game show or a big movie that really just poo-poos the things we're not. Maybe we're not remembering something. Maybe there's like a movie.
Forgetting there, those you would say.
Yeah.
Maybe we're forgetting.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely there are movies now that take place in the 90s and stuff, but
Goosebumps was a 90s thing for sure.
Again, it's a 90s property, but the movie.
It evokes the 90s. Like, it's about,
I guess, but I don't know.
I think a lot of the 80s stuff we talked about isn't taking place in the 80s either. There's been Stranger Things and like an episode of Black Mirror, but I think more so it's been like this is an 80s thing that we can sell again by virtue.
That's everything though, because the 80s was such a huge marketing machine, and like those things are still around.
Sure.
But no, I mean, like you have Super 8. Well, that was like late 70s, but Super 8 was kind of there. Season 2 of Fargo.
Sure.
Even go back to like American Psycho is a 80s period piece.
Man, American Horror Story, the real Ryan Murphy, he hasn't done one yet.
Yeah.
He did Florida in the 1950s.
Oh well, I mean, hey,
the
the O.J. Simpson show.
Yeah, that's a 90s.
Yeah,
that embraces that it is the 90s.
Very much. There's a lot of examples.
It's a lot of 90s music.
I just don't think they're going to be the waves that were. I don't know if the 80s 90s wave is as concrete as we think it is. I think it's just always happening now. So, all right. Well, I guess that wraps up the Q&A segment for this episode. Episode 8. Yeah, I think it's 8.
We could dub it in later if it's 9.
We could just check. 8. How do you lose count at 8? Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for listening to Guaranteed Audio and watching the video component should we actually edit it together. We'll be back in the near future with more movies and such. As always,
correct.
Back us on Patreon if you can. Every backer helps make the movies more regular and better. We only charge when we make a movie. We don't do them monthly.
No coasting.
We don't coast off people's Patreon goodwill. Anything else you guys want to say before we cut off?
No, I think it's been a fun episode.
I have nothing else to say. I feel like we covered everything we possibly wanted to cover.
We talked about the 90s. We talked about our old movies. We talked about
OJ.
Captain Disillusion. OJ.
Yeah, we got a little bit of OJ
Captain
in
D.
there.
Did we talk about the Ghostbusters at all? I
We
think
did.
I
Just
We
a
came
little
up.
bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
I mentioned them. We talk about Batman, or I mentioned Superman at one point. That's covered. We,
Mention it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's all good.
All
David
the-
Bowie came up. I don't know.
David Bowie came up. All the usual staples. Yeah, I guess we'll be back soon with more guaranteed content at guaranteedvideo.com.
Keep on guaranteeing. It'll be great.